King Misuzulu kaZwelithini has delivered a keynote address at the 141st anniversary commemorations of the Battle of Isandlwana in Ulundi. Hundreds of people are gathered there as festivities unfold on the day, which symbolizes freedom for AmaZulu. Nobute Modise joins me now. Nobute, great to speak to you. The King has spoken. What were his words to the AmaZulu?
Good afternoon, Hugo. Indeed, the King has spoken and he had many messages specifically to the men, Amabutho, to the women as well as to the Zulu nation as a whole. The key message being that in 1879, the warriors that fought the British Empire fought them with just a spear, while the British Empire had more advanced ammunition, but they managed to conquer that war and win it with just spears. And he was saying with that message, that means that the Zulu nation can conquer anything. Also speaking to the ills of society at the moment, he did mention about the fact that when he was driving here, he heard a story on the news about the killing of people living with albinism, and he says that's something that touches him close to his heart because he doesn't understand what kind of nation behaves like that, saying that we are not, the Zulu nation does not behave like that, calling on all men to be at the forefront of calling out those who are killing women and children, who are killing people with disabilities, and just saying that is not what the Zulu nation represents. He also says that the Zulu nation has a structure, and if at any time in any of the villages or in any of the areas incidents of violence occur, they should have access to the Induna, who will then call out those who they know are responsible for the ills in society. He spoke a lot about that specific messaging, saying that violence is not what we are about. The violence that was lashed out in 1879 was in protection of the land, but right now the ills that society is facing do not involve violence. Another key message that he gave, Hugo, was the issue of he's saying that the Zulu nation is disrespectful towards the national government, speaking to the fact that they should stop pointing fingers and stop complaining, but just pray for the government and work together with the government, saying that other nations outside are watching us, are watching South Africa, and we should be embarrassed about the way that we carry ourselves. We should actually have, confidence in the leadership, in the political leadership, and stop pointing fingers. So a lot of messaging around, violence, around the political structure of the nation, and also him just saying that remember what happened when King Qochayo's half-brother, Dubulamanzi Kampande, did not listen to the king after the Battle of Isandlwana, when they did manage, to conquer the British here in Isandlwana. The half-brother of King Qochayo then decided that he wanted more, and he went on to Rockstrift, where yesterday, interestingly, we were there, and the Prime Minister of the Zulu nation was just saying that that's also another place that was close to the heart of the late King kaZwelithini, who says that that piece of history regarding Rockstrift is something that shouldn't be left out when we commemorate the Battle of Isandlwana, because that war there was as a result of Dubulamanzi not listening to his half-brother King Qochayo, when he said they should not approach the British at their own places, but wait for them to come to them. And what he decided to do was then head off to Rockstrift, where they started another battle that they unfortunately lost. And the king just making reference to that, saying this is what happens when you don't listen to the messaging of the king. When the king says don't do something, you should listen, and using the incident at Rockstrift as an example. So a lot of messaging around just listening when the nation, when the king rather speaks, and just a lot of messaging around violence and the political situation in the country, saying that we shouldn't be pointing fingers. He understands what the country is going through at the moment, but he's saying at this point the nation should strive to be praying for the political government at large.
So it seems like the king delivered a lecture of sorts, sparing no punches in speaking to those members of AmaZulu that were present. Talk to us about the reaction or the reception of that message, and also talk to us about the numbers that have attended these festivities.
Indeed, Hugo, AmaButho and the Zulu Nation and the people from Ngutu came out in their numbers today. I want to ask my colleague Lungelo Zungu to just pan for you so you can see what the outcome here and how many people have just come through. A lot of people came out in their numbers. You remember that on Thursday, the king did send off the AmaButho from Ulundi to here. Ulundi is the place where the British were initially wanting to attack King kaZwelithini. That was the royal palace back then, and that is where the attack was headed. But then they were then intercepted by the Zulu warriors here in Isandlwana. So the importance of them being dispatched from Ulundi to come here today was highlighted on Thursday, where also the king as well as the Prime Minister of the Zulu Nation spoke on the socio-economic ills, spoke on the fact that the battle that they're fighting today is completely different to the battle that they fought in 1879. Right now they're fighting inequality, poverty, gender-based violence, and just to name a few, naming the fact that these are the things that they should be battling with now. So that lecture also included Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi just giving us a brief history of King kaZwelithini, and before that there was also the unveiling of two memorials of two people who played an integral part in that Battle of Isandlwana in 1879. The great-grandfather of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, Unyamana Buthelezi, who was the Prime Minister at the time to King kaZwelithini, and then another memorial unveiled of the general at the time who was the one that was tasked with heading the Zulu warriors. So those were kind of the build-up events in the build-up to this commemoration that we see here today. As you can see, more maidens arriving. AmaButho are also here. The AmaButho have been coming in and out in their numbers because they do come from different areas, and some only arriving now. Others have been here from the beginning of the proceedings. So people have come out in their numbers to listen to the king and the messaging and what he has to say about this specific day. Hugo.